guys, it's Sarah here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Sims 4 speed build. So today we are building a vet clinic in Brindleton Bay and it's going to be shaped like a barn, so that's fun. And I think this is a 30 by 20 lot, but I'll put it in the description box and make sure that that's right because I think I started out on a 40 by 30 lot and it was too big. So I'm pretty sure this is a 30 by 20 lot. But yeah, we're building this into the shape of a barn. And as usual, the inspiration for this build came from Pinterest, so I'll go on and put that little picture up on the screen now where you guys can kind of see what I was going for or what I was trying to do. But the little picture isn't an actual building. I think it's one of those little miniature houses or buildings that you can buy, I think. I don't know if this was actually like a product link or anything. I didn't really look at the pin, to be honest. As soon as I saw it, I kind of knew that I wanted to build a vet clinic that looked like that, so I didn't even look into it any further than that. I just saved it. But it should be on my Pinterest if you guys are interested. I don't know. I don't really know what this is. But anyway, I just basically wanted to rebuild the shape of that building because I thought it was really cool, kind of interesting shape. And it looks like a barn that got redone or refinished and got made into a house. And I thought that was pretty interesting. And I felt like a barn-shaped building would make a really good vet clinic for some reason. And I think I actually have seen some vet clinics that are shaped like a barn, or I don't think they were originally a barn, like a renovated kind of situation. I think they're just shaped like that. So that's probably not an original thought at all. There's probably a ton of these already that have been built in The Sims, but I haven't built one, so this is my attempt at doing that. I have built a vet clinic a while back, and it was shaped like a cat. And so if you guys want to check out that video, you can. It's kind of a weird build, and it kind of turned out a little bit weird. But this is just a regular, normal build for a vet clinic, so I think more people will find this one interesting because the other one was a little bit quirky. But yeah, so I have built one vet clinic, but it was extremely small too, so I wanted to build something a little bit bigger and be able to get a little bit more of the vet items in here. And so I really thought that I had done that because it kind of looks like a big building from the outside. It looks kind of spacious and roomy, but it's not that big on the inside, to be honest. It does have a second floor, but I didn't want to use that for the actual vet clinic area, so I decided to put a little studio apartment up there. And I actually had to take a break while I was building this, so I finished the exterior and then I had to stop and come back to the interior later. And I really felt confident that it was super big, and I kind of had the floor plan laid out in my mind, and then when I actually went to build it, I realized that it was way too small for most of what I was thinking. So I don't know why it seemed so big to me. But anyway, right now I'm actually trying to recreate some barn doors, but that's another thing about this build that I haven't mentioned was I did make this build base game and cats and dogs only, so it's a restricted build. And I've built barn doors before in several different ways, but I've never built them with base game items. And then the cats and dogs pack, I didn't feel like had anything that was super helpful for building them. So these are base game barn doors. And I ended up using one of the curtains, and then I used the Immaculate Shelf, which you guys hear all the time because I just use it all the time, but I used the Immaculate Shelf and the tool mod, of course, to kind of manipulate it into looking like a frame for the barn door, which is actually a curtain. So it's a little bit weird, but I feel like it adds to the build. At first, I wasn't sure about it, and I had to change it several times, you guys may have noticed, because I started out with like the full-size shelf, and then it was way too thick, and so I had brought it down a little bit, but then that size still wasn't good enough, so I had to do it again a third time. And it's kind of funny because I always wonder why it takes me so long to build. And I get so frustrated when I do a kind of a simple build and it takes like hours and hours to get done. And then I realized while I was doing this one that I think I spent like at least 30 minutes on the barn doors, which is just way too long for that little tiny detail. But I don't know what it is about being able to do things with the tool mod that just, I don't know, like I'm willing to take the time to make the weirdest stuff with the tool mod, but when it comes to just regular building, I'll get frustrated so easily and just give up. Like placing stairs irritates me so much, and then the roofing irritates me. I hate roofing in The Sims, which is mainly just because I find it really difficult to place them and them look good. But yeah, it's kind of weird because I'll just spend a lot of time doing stuff with the tool mod, and when I'm actually building and doing kind of simple things, I just get really frustrated and give up on them. So I spent a little bit way too much time on the barn doors, but I do kind of like the way they look. You guys can let me know what you think because I have actual doors there as well. So most of the time, I think if you were going to do a barn door, you would have one of the archways and it would be an open doorway. And I did leave one side of the door open, but maybe it looks a little bit weird because there's also regular doors as well. But, you know, my ideal was this was kind of like a renovated barn, and so the barn doors would still be there, but it's a business, and so you want regular doors, and none of that really matters at all. But also about the doors, one of the reasons that that door is open is because I chose these doors from the Cats and Dogs pack. And usually if I want to make a single door into a double door, a bigger door, I'll just use two of them. And so then if you place the first door and then you place the second door next to it, but if you just like move the arrow like that would turn it around. So you hit the arrow key that turns it around and it turns it backwards. And so you just see the back of the door. So that gives the appearance of having a little bit bigger door, but you still get to choose the door that you like, because some of the bigger options that we have in the game aren't necessarily the same as the single options. So I wanted to use this door, and so that's what I was going to do. And when I went to turn around the doorknob was at a different level on the back of the door. And, you know, I usually don't care about that kind of stuff in my builds. Like, I don't care if everything's perfect or if it lines up perfectly or anything like that. I just don't really care that much. I mean, I want it to be as even as possible, or I want it to match up as much as possible. But, like, I'm not going to stress myself out about it. But when those doorknobs didn't line up, I could not leave it like that. I have no idea why a doorknob would be at a higher place on the back of the door than the front of the door, but it is. I'm telling you guys, with this particular door, if you try it while you're building, the doorknobs are at different places on the door, and I could not leave it like that. So I ended up just doing the trick where you place a wall and then you place the door and it looks like it's open, and I think that looks pretty cool anyway, so it doesn't matter. But I did think that was interesting because that's the first door that I have ever run into in this game that is like that. I've never noticed that before. If there's any more of them that are like that, I've never noticed it. And I do that all the time. I use single doors instead of double doors because I like some of the single options better. So anyway, that was crazy and kind of weird. And I just could not leave it in the build like that, so I had to change it up a little bit. But we're on to the interior now and making the floor plan for this vet clinic. And I wanted to have a couple different exam rooms, and I really wanted to be able to include the little surgical machine as well, because in the last vet clinic that I built, I didn't get to include that because it's kind of big. But like I said, when I actually got in there and started building, I realized it was a lot smaller than I thought it was. So I ended up getting one exam room, and then I did get the little surgical machine in the other room. So technically you could have two exam rooms if you wanted to just delete that and get rid of it. But in the little exam room, I also placed a second exam table, which I don't think is really necessary, because I think that when I play tested the last vet clinic, like there's one vet there, and so the vet just waits on the animal to get like off the exam table, and then the other animal gets on. So it's probably not necessary to have two of them, but I feel like that looks more realistic. And I changed the wallpaper on the outside of this build as well, because I had forgotten that we had this wallpaper with the Cats and Dogs pack, because I haven't really gotten used to all the wallpapers from that pack, to be honest. And so I had forgotten about this one, but it looks so much more like a barn, I think, than the first one, because the first one was just base game siding, and this one looks, I don't know why, but it looks so much more like a barn to me, and I'm so glad that I made that change. Because when I first saw it, I thought, it's not worth it. It's fine. The outside's done. I'm not even going to do it. But I did go on and do it anyway, and I'm so glad I did, because it looks so much better, in my opinion, than the siding that I had on it originally. And when I built this, I actually added 3 doors originally, and so I did have to I added 4. I didn't add 3. I had 4 doors total in this build, so I went a little door crazy on this one. But I did end up getting rid of 2 of them, and so I only have a front door and a back door now. But I did have 2 other doors that I had to replace, and I ended up using the kind of door-shaped window that came with the Cats and Dogs pack, and I think it's open. Like, I don't think it has glass on it. I think it kind of looks like an open window. I don't know. I may be wrong about that. I haven't looked at it that hard. But I ended up using that because it kind of looked like a door, so I felt like it didn't mess with the exterior too much. But it wasn't a door because these were just placed in really weird spots for there to be a door when I actually started making the floor plan. But when you go into the front door, you come into the waiting room. And I actually really enjoyed building that. I don't know about you guys, but I like building waiting rooms. I don't know if it's because they're so generic and just really simple, and they all basically look the same. You just need chairs and a few tables and stuff like that. I don't know if that's why I like it so much, because you don't have to make a whole lot of decisions. But I really like building waiting rooms. And that, I know that's such a weird thing. But yeah, you have the little waiting room, and then I made this little office area, which, you know, of course isn't necessary, but it's just kind of decorative. And I kind of like the way it looks as well. It looks kind of a little bit more realistic. And then we have the room that has the surgical machine, and that just takes up that whole room. So that's all that's in there. And then we have a little bathroom as well, and it's really simple. And I know you don't have to include a bathroom for a vet clinic, but it seems like it'd be a nice thing to have access to if you're playing. I kind of like most of the community lots to have a bathroom when I'm playing, because, you know, you could be there for a while and your Sims might need access to that. So there is a little bathroom. And then the exam room has a little bit more decorations, and it has 2 exam tables. So I thought that was nice. It looks kind of cool. And I think that I got most of the vet clinic items in this build. So it didn't end up being as big as I thought it was going to be, but I think I got most of the themed items included in this clinic. And then for the second floor, like I said, I just made it into a studio little apartment, and it's just pretty simple. But yeah, that is it for this vet clinic, this build. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You guys can let me know what you think down below in the comments. I always love hearing from you guys, and I hope you enjoyed this build. But thank you again for watching, and I hope you guys are doing really, really well, and hopefully we will talk soon with another speed build.